Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, Miss Lynn.
Yes, Miss Lynn.
Yes, Miss Lynn. Yes, Miss Lynn.
Who is everyone? Everyone's okay?
Yes, Miss.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Can you see the screen?
Yes. Yes, Miss. Yes.
Yes, we can see it.
We're on page 38, and we've gone back to the story so we can finish it today, inshallah. All right, so Travis explains to Mr. Eccles about they do not want to...
Miss Lynn,
Yes,
excuse me. Last time we finished, we were on page 40.
page 40?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Miss Lynn. I'm sorry if I interrupted.
Glad you told me. Okay. So, he explains to Eccles how he goes ahead of the time machine, the time safari, so he will know exactly which animal to kill, because the animal would have died anyway. So he knows 2 minutes before he would have died anyway. This way, we only kill animals with no future, that are never going to mate again. You see how careful we are? But if you came back this morning in time, said Eccles eagerly, you must have bumped into us, our safari. How did it turn out? Was it successful? Did all of us get through alive? Do you understand this part here? Eccles is telling him that if he went back in time that morning, then when he was returning, he must have bumped into them. So he wants to know, how did it turn out? Was it successful? And did all of us get through it alive? Travis and Lesperance gave each other a look. That'd be a paradox, said the latter. Time doesn't permit that sort of mess, a man meeting himself. When such occasions threaten, time steps aside, like an airplane hitting an air pocket. Felt the machine jump just before we stopped. That was us passing ourselves on the way back to the future. We saw nothing. There's no way of telling if this expedition was a success. If we got our monster, or whether all of us, meaning you, Mr. Eccles, got out alive. Eccles smiled palely. Cut that, said Travis sharply. Everyone on his feet. They were ready to leave the machine. The jungle was high, and the jungle was broad, and the jungle was the entire world forever and forever. Sounds like music and sounds like flying tents filled the sky. And those were pterodactyls, soaring with cavernous gray wings, gigantic bats of delirium and night. Eccles, balanced on the narrow path, aimed his rifle playfully. Stop that, said Travis. Don't even aim for fun, blast you. If your gun should go off, Eccles flushed. Where's our Tyrannosaurus? Lesperance checked his wristwatch. Wait 1 second, guys. Up ahead, we'll bisect his trail in 60 seconds. Look for the red paint. Don't shoot till we give the word. Stay on the path. Stay on the path. They moved forward in the wind of morning. Strange, murmured Eccles. Up ahead, 60 million years. Election day over. Keith made president. Everyone's celebrating. And here we are, a million years lost, and they don't exist. I hear something in the background. Does someone have a TV or something on? If you do, please turn it off. The things we worried about for months and a lifetime, not even born or thought of yet. Safety catches off. Everyone, ordered Travis. You, first shot, Eccles. Second, Billings. Third, Kramer. I've hunted tiger, wild boar, buffalo, elephant, but now this is it, said Eccles. I'm shaking like a kid. Ah, said Travis. Everyone stopped. Travis raised his hand. Ahead, he whispered, in the mist. There he is. There's His Royal Majesty now. The jungle was wide and full of twitterings, rustlings, murmurs, and sighs. Suddenly, it all ceased, as if someone had shut a door. Silence, a sound of thunder. Out of the mist, 100 yards away, came Tyrannosaurus, I cannot say the name, Tyrannosaurus Rex. It, whispered Eccles, shh. It came on great, oiled, resilient, striding legs. It towered 30 feet above half of the trees, a great evil god, folding his delicate watchmaker's claws close to his oily reptilian chest. Each lower leg was a piston, 1,000 pounds of white bone, sunk in thick ropes of muscle, sheathed over in a gleam of pebble skin, like the mail of a terrible warrior. Each thigh was a ton of meat, ivory, and steel mesh. And from the great breathing cage of the upper body, those two delicate arms dangled out front. Arms with hands which might pick up and examine men like toys, while the snake neck coiled, and the head itself a ton of sculptured stone, lifted easily upon the sky. Its mouth gaped, exposing a fence of teeth like daggers. Its eyes rolled, ostrich eggs, empty of all expression save hunger. It closed its mouth in a death grin. It ran, its pelvic bones crushing aside trees and bushes, its taloned feet clamping damp earth, leaving prints 6 inches deep wherever it settled its weight. It ran with a gliding ballet step, far too poised and balanced for its 10 tons. It moved into a sunlit arena warily, its beautifully reptilian hands filling the air. Why, Eccles twitched his mouth. It could reach up and grab the moon. Shh, Travis jerked angrily. He hasn't seen us yet. It can't be killed, said Eccles pronounced this verdict quietly, as if there could be no argument. He had weighed the evidence, and this was his considered opinion. The rifle in his hands seemed a cap gun. We were fools to come. This is impossible. Shut up, hissed Travis. Nightmare. Turn around, commanded Travis. Walk quietly to the machine. We'll remit 1/2 your fee. I didn't realize it would be this big, said Eccles. I miscalculated, that's all, and now I want out. It sees us. There's the red paint on his chest. The tyrant lizard raised itself. Its armored flesh glittered like 1,000 green coins. The coins, crusted with slime, steamed. In the slime, tiny insects wriggled, so that the entire body seemed to twitch and undulate, even while the monster itself did not move. It exhaled. The stink of raw flesh blew down the wilderness. Okay, this paragraph is important here because I want you to picture what this dinosaur looks like. Remember, this dinosaur is in terrible health. They know exactly when it was supposed to die already. So this is why this one was chosen to be shot by Eccles. It would have died no matter what. So its skin is green and it has insects in its skin. And the smell of raw flesh, they could smell it because the dinosaur had already started to rot. Everyone understand?
Yes, Miss Lynn.
Yeah.
Yes, Miss.
Don't run, said Lesbos. No, wait. Get me out of here, said Eccles. It was never like this before. I was always sure I'd come through alive. I had good guides, good safaris and safety. This time I figured wrong. I've met my match and admit it. This is too much for me to get a hold of. Don't run, said Lesperance. Turn around. Hide in the machine. Yes, Eccles seemed to be numb. He looked at his feet as if trying to make them move. He gave a grunt of helplessness. Eccles. He took a few steps, blinking, shuffling. Not that way. The monster at the first motion lunged forward with a terrible scream. It covered 100 yards in 6 seconds. The rifles jerked up and blazed fire. A windstorm from the beast's mouth engulfed them in the stench of slime and old blood. The monster roared, teeth glittering with sun. Eccles, not looking back, walked blindly to the edge of the path. His gun limp in his arms and stepped off the path and walked, not knowing it, in the jungle. His feet sank into green moss. His legs moved him and he felt alone and remote from the events behind. The rifles cracked again. Their sound was lost in shriek and lizard thunder. The great levels of the reptile's tail swung up, lashed sideways. Trees exploded in clouds of leaf and branch. The monster twitched his jeweler's hands down to fondle at the men, to twist them in half, to crush them like berries, to cram them into its teeth and its screaming throat. Its boulder stone eyes leveled with the men. They saw themselves mirrored. They fired at the metallic eyelids and the blazing black iris. I keep stopping because people keep wanting to come in. Like a stone idol, like a mountain avalanche, Tyrannosaurus fell. Thundering, it clutched trees, pulled them with it. It wrenched and tore the metal path. The men flung themselves back and away. The body hit 10 tons of cold flesh and stone. The guns fired. The monster lashed its armored tail, twitched its snake jaws and lay still. A fount of blood spurted from its throat. Somewhere inside, a sack of fluids burst. Sickening gushes drenched the hunters. They stood red and glistening. The thunder faded. The jungle was silent. After the avalanche, a green peace. After the nightmare, morning. Billings and Kramer sat on the pathway and threw up. Travis and Lesperance stood with smoking rifles, cursing steadily. So we know here Travis and Lesperance are the two that actually shot the dinosaur. In the time machine, on his face, Eccles lay shivering. He had found his way back to the path, climbed into the machine. Travis came walking, glanced at Eccles, took cotton gauze from a metal box and returned to the others who were sitting on the path. Clean up. They wiped the blood from their helmets. They began to curse too. The monster lay, a heel of solid flesh. Within, you could hear the sighs and murmurs as the furthest chambers of it died, the organs malfunctioning. liquids running a final instant from pocket to sac to spleen, everything shutting off, closing up forever. It was like standing by a wrecked locomotive or a steam shovel at quitting time, all valves being released or levered tight, bones cracked, the tonnage of its own flesh off balance, dead weight, snapped the delicate forearms, caught underneath, the meat settled, quivering. So in other words, the dinosaur was so heavy on its own weight was crushing him after he fell. Another cracking sound. Overhead, a gigantic tree branch broke from its heavy mooring, fell. It crashed upon the dead beast with finality. Okay, you see, right here explains to you what was really supposed to kill the dinosaur. A gigantic tree branch would have broken off from the tree and crashed upon the dinosaur, okay? And remember, the dinosaur was very sick and very weak to begin with. There, Lesbos checked his watch, right on time. That's the giant tree that was scheduled to fall and kill this animal originally. He glanced at the two hunters. You want the trophy picture? What? We can't take a trophy back to the future. The body has to stay right here where it would have died originally, so the insects, birds, and bacteria can get at it as they were intended to. Everything in balance. The body stays, but we can take a picture of you standing near it. The two men tried to think, but gave up, shaking their heads. They let themselves be led along the metal path. They sank wearily into the machine cushions. They gazed back at the ruined monster, the stagnating mound, where already strange reptilian birds and golden insects were busy at the steaming armor. A sound on the floor of the time machine stiffened them. Eccles sat there shivering. I'm sorry, he said. Get up, cried Travis. Eccles got up. Get out on that path alone, said Travis. He had his rifle pointed. You're not coming back in the machine. We're leaving you here. Lesbos seized Travis's arm. Wait, stay out of this. Travis shook his hand away. This fool nearly killed us, but it isn't that so much. No, it's his shoes. Look at them. He ran off the path. That ruins us. We'll forfeit thousands of dollars of insurance. We guarantee no one leaves the path. He left it. Oh, the fool. I'll have to report to the government. They might revoke our license to travel. Who knows what he's done to me, to time, to history. Take it easy. All he did was kick up some dirt. How do we know? Cried Travis. We don't know anything. It's all a mystery. Get out there, Eccles. Eccles fumbled his shirt. I'll pay anything, $100,000. Travis glared at Eccles' checkbook and spat. Go out there. The monster's next to the path. Stick your arms up to your elbows in his mouth. Then you can come back with us. That's unreasonable. The monster's dead, you idiot. The bullets cannot be left behind. They don't belong in the past. They might change anything. Here's my knife, dig them out. The jungle was alive again, full of the old tremorings and bird cries. Eccles turned slowly to regard the primeval garbage dump, that hill of nightmares and terror. After a long time, like a sleepwalker, he shuffled out along the path. He returned, shuddering, 5 minutes later, his arms soaked and red to the elbows. He held out his hands. Each held a number of steel bullets. Then he fell. He lay where he fell, not moving. You didn't have to make him do that, said Lesbos. Didn't I? It's too early to tell. Travis nudged the steel body. He'll live. Next time he won't go hunting game like this, okay? He jerked his thumb wearily at Lesbos. Switch on. Let's go home. 1492, 1776, 1812. They cleaned their hands and faces. They changed their caking shirts and pants. Eccles was up and around again, not speaking. Travis glared at him for a full 10 minutes. Don't look at me, said Eccles. I haven't done anything. Who can tell? Just ran off the path, that's all. A little mud on my shoes. What do you want me to do? Get down and pray? We might need it. I'm warning you, Eccles. I might kill you yet. I've got my gun ready. I'm innocent. I've done nothing. 1999, 2000, 2055. The machine stopped. Get out, said Travis. The room was there as they had left it, but not the same as they had left it. The same man sat behind the same desk, but the same man did not quite sit behind the same desk. Travis looked around swiftly. Everything okay here? He snapped. Fine, welcome home. Travis did not relax. He seemed to be looking at the very atoms of the air itself, at the way the sun poured through the one high window. Okay, Eccles, get out. Don't ever come back. Eccles could not move. You heard me, said Travis. What are you staring at? Eccles stood smelling of the air, and there was a thing to the air, a chemical taint so subtle, so slight, that only a faint cry of subliminal senses warned him it was there. The colors, white, gray, blue, orange, in the wall, in the furniture, in the sky beyond the window were, and there was a feel. His flesh twitched, his hands twitched. He stood drinking the oddness with the pores of his body. Somewhere, someone must have been screaming one of those whistles that only a dog can hear. His body screamed solace in return. Oops. Beyond this room, beyond this wall, beyond this man who was not quite the same man seated at this desk, that was not quite the same desk, lay an entire world of streets and people. What sort of world it was now? There was no telling. He could feel them moving there beyond the walls almost, like so many chess pieces blown in a dry wind. But the immediate thing was the sign painted on the office wall, the same sign he had read earlier today on first entering. Somehow, the sign had changed. Time Safari, pay attention to the spelling, guys. Safaris to any year in the past. You name the animal, we take you there, you shoot it. You see how all the spelling is mumbled now?
Yes.
Eccles felt himself.
Yes.
Thank you. Eccles felt himself fall into a chair. He fumbled crazily at the thick slime on his boots. He held up a clod of dirt, trembling. No, it can't be. Not a little thing like that, no. Embedded in the mud, glistening green and gold and black, was a butterfly. Very beautiful and very dead. Not a little thing like that, not a butterfly, cried Eccles. It fell to the floor, an exquisite thing, a small thing that could upset balances and knock down a line of small dominoes, and then big dominoes, and then gigantic dominoes, all down the years across time. Eccles' mind whirled. It couldn't change things. Killing one butterfly couldn't be that important, could it? His face was cold, his mouth trembled, asking, who won the presidential election yesterday? The man behind the desk laughed. You joking? You know very well. Dutcher, of course. Who else? Not that fool weakling Keith. We got an iron man now, a man with guts. The official stopped. What's wrong? Eccles moaned. He dropped to his knees. He scrambled at the golden butterfly with shaking fingers. Can't we, he pleaded to the world, to himself, to the officials, to the machine, can't we take it back? Can't we make it alive again? Can't we start over? Can't we? He did not move. Eyes shut, he waited, shivering. He heard Travis breathe loud in the room. He heard Travis shift his rifle, click the safety catch, and raise the weapon. There was a sound of thunder. So everybody understand what happened?
Yes, Miss Lynn.
Yes, he shut him down.
Yes.
While I'm thinking of it, before we watch a PowerPoint, on the last page, the comprehension, I made a sheet and I put in SMS, but everything I think fell out. Nothing left last night when I went in there. Nothing, none of the sheets were there. So Mr. Hytham is going to check my account and see what the problem is. In the meantime, when I go home this afternoon, I will go ahead and put all your sheets on the Facebook page because I don't know how long it's going to take for my SMS account to be fixed. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Miss Lynn.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Miss Lynn.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Muslim,
Yes?
Muslim.
Yes.
Should we write the homework in our notebooks or should we write it in Word? Because we have to send it to you in email.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Should we send the homework in the? Should we write the homework in the notebook or should we write it in Word?
If you could write the homework on the sheet itself and just take a picture and send me or send the sheet, I think it'd be easier for you. Why? If you write it in your notebook, you're going to also have to rewrite the question. Well, I guess you could just number the question if they're numbered on the sheet.
Miss Lynn,
Yes.
Miss, I'm asking if I'm asking where to send the when we finish the homework
You will read
to
the
send
letter
it to
that
you
I
where?
sent. If you will read the letter, the syllabus, both of my email accounts are at the top of the letter. However, I need for you to send your assignments to the email account.
Okay.
They're both on the sheet, the syllabus.
Okay, thank you, Miss Lynn.
You're welcome. All right, so our next session, I have a PowerPoint to watch, and you might want to take some notes. It's up to you. And you might remember everything. But anyway, we'll watch a PowerPoint, okay?
Okay, thank you, Miss Lynn.
All right, now, are there any questions on the story? None?
Miss Lynn,
Yes.
I know like it's not really related to the story, but it's still about it. So may I ask?
Sure.
I couldn't help but notice that the author was like very very detailed. So like it didn't slip my mind. So like everything was like returning to nothing, but like they weren't like returning as like they weren't even born yet. So like I know it's science fiction and all, but like it's still bothering me. So how like why did
Type your question in the chat because I couldn't understand it all. You know, today we're having problems with the internet at the school. So it keeps coming and going. So sometimes when you're asking a question, it'll skip a word or two. So just type your question in chat, baby, please. I want you also to remember the story about the imagery. Lots and lots of imagery in here, explaining what the jungle looks like, explaining the dinosaur, which was disgusting, okay? And again,
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
In page 36.
Page 36.
Yes.
Let me see if I can get page 36. Oh no, I'm way off.
Yes, from line number 19 to line 34, 33.
Out of jars and ashes. Oh, he's explaining to him about what could happen.
No, I'm asking about from line number 19 to line 33. What is he describing?
Which line number?
Line 19 to line 33.
Line 19 to line 33?
Yes. What is he describing?
Oh, he's, okay. Now they're in the machine, okay? And
Okay.
they're going back in time. Things are flashing and flashing and flashing. You've seen movies with time machines, right?
Mm.
And you know
Yes.
how fast, like the past can flash before your eyes? This is what he's talking about. You know, he says, line, let's see, 25, a touch of the hand in this burning wood on the instant beautifully reverse itself. By pressing a button, they can go back in time or the future, I guess, but we're going back in time in this story. And Eccles is sitting there and he's remembering the words in the advertisements, out of jars and ashes, out of dust and coals. He's thinking about going through this past, flash after flash after flash. He's comparing it to Chinese boxes, rabbits into hats, how something fits into something else, okay? And then he says the second pair, unbelievable, Eccles breathed, the light of the machine on his thin face, a real time machine. He shook his head, makes you think. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. The previous paragraph is what the inside of the machine looks like. You know how when you get into a machine like that, it's got all different kind of lights blinking off and on,
Yes.
all kinds of noises in the background. And he's thinking the touch of the hand, just one press of a button, and it changes everything.
Okay.
You
Thank you.
understand?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this page? Let's see.
Thank you, Miss Lynn.
You're welcome. Yes, the author is very, very detailed in his visualization. How everything and everyone was regressing to the nothing they were, all but the characters in the machine. So why or how? This is a question from Hannah. What do you mean, Hannah? They were regressing to the nothing that they were?
I meant President Keith wasn't even born yet, or Hitler, like they were not there anymore. But as our characters were from.
They were there. I'll explain in a minute. Bhumika?
Miss Lynn, I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Bhumika?
Yes, Miss Lynn, do we have to memorize each and every imagery and visualization word to word, or just know a few details about them?
I want you mainly to understand, I'm sure you know this from last year, but I just want to kind of review imagery. As long as all of you in this class know what imagery means, is there anyone that does not? You know, it's the words that the author uses to describe things in the story to make it more real to us. You know, when he describes this disgusting, sick dinosaur, the first time I read it, I almost got sick. Especially when it talks about the green flesh, because that means it's rotting flesh and all the stuff that starts oozing out of its body. You understand?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Yes, Miss.
If anyone does not understand imagery, though, let me know. Okay? All right, the last part of the story. Yes, Evelina, the last part of the story is when they return back. They go back home. Okay, but not home. They go back to the office where they first began. And as soon as they walk in, Eccles, everything seemed the same, but yet it wasn't the same. So finally, when Eccles started talking to the man and asked him who won the presidential race, he told him Dutcher. And he also told him that if they would have elected Keys, they would have had a dictator. Whereas in the beginning, it was the opposite. Also, in the beginning, did you notice the sign on the very first page? Compare that sign on the first page of the story to the one where they return at the end, and you'll see what I'm talking about, okay?
Okay.
Things seemed the same, but they were very different. And it was because why? Why had things changed already?
Because that the butterfly died in the mud.
It's because Echo stepped on the butterfly,
Yes.
right?
They mistook the future.
Right. Look, let me show you this. The first page. Oh, no, it's not going to be on.